Howdy, hot shots. The Dividend Daddy here, your favorite, not a financial advisor with not financial advice. SLTY is out. SLTY is listed. I looked it up on Schwab. It started out at $50. Last I looked, it was already down 60 cents. We are here to talk about the differences and similarities between SLTY and ULTY. All right. So we know that SLTY is a short fund, still planning on generating income. Probably a similar type yield to ULTY from what I expect. ULTY is a long fund looking to generate yield. These are not inverse funds, although they operate in an inverse manner. It might be a good hedge for ULTY, but it would be coincidental that it was a good hedge because they are operating with different stocks for the most part. I just looked through their holdings and they already have Mara in there, which is also an ULTY. So that begs the question, is one of the funds wrong, or do they just feel like the premium is higher than what the stock will move? I'll get into that in a second. So when I say that they operate in an inverse manner, it's just in strategy, not necessarily in holdings. So if they were to hold every holding in SLTY that they have in ULTY, then it may be a hedge. You would probably lose money by fees, and anytime a stock moved up or down too greatly, then you may wind up losing money on that stock, regardless of if they both own the same stock and one went down while the other one went up. Because we have ULTY that we know the gains are capped on the upside. We have SLTY whose gains are capped on the downside. All right. So what ULTY does is they own stock. Then they sell covered call options on that stock, which caps the upside gains. They use part of that premium to buy protective puts so that if the stock goes down too much, they own puts and could sell that stock at the higher price or sell the put at the higher price and hold the stock, but recoup some of the losses. SLTY appears to work in the same way. They short a stock, then they sell covered puts to generate premium. They will buy a protective call in case the stock goes up too much. They aren't going to lose everything on that position. So that's the similarities. It's a similarity, but also an opposite strategy in that ULTY sells calls and buys puts and buys stocks. SLTY sells puts and buys calls and sells stocks. So it's just an opposite strategy. As I said before, I looked through both of their holdings. The only holdings that I see that are in both of them right now is Mara. Now, if Mara goes way up, ULTY is going to have its gains capped. But if it goes way down, it's got its losses capped a little bit further from the strike price. If Mara goes down, then SLTY is going to have its gains capped. But if it goes up, then they're also going to have their losses capped. So what they want in Mara's situation, if the funds are even talking to each other, is that Mara stays right where it's at, and then both funds can make money on it. But if it goes too far up, SLTY is going to lose money on it, and if it goes too far down, ULTY is going to lose money on it. That's the only common position in the two that I saw. I did see that MicroStrategy is in SLTY. That's an interesting choice in my opinion. Do they think that Bitcoin and MicroStrategy are going to continue to go down? They've already gone down quite a bit. So in my opinion, it would have been better to have a short position in that earlier than now. What if they rebound? Then you're going to lose money in SLTY on that MicroStrategy position. Could you lose money in both SLTY and ULTY at the same time? Yes, you absolutely could, because they are different holdings, and SLTY is counting on stocks that are going down, and ULTY is counting on stocks that are going up. they could both be making mistakes, or they could both be picking stocks that do the opposite of what they want. So it's not going to be a true hedge. Now, in a bear market or a downward market, hopefully the stocks that they pick in SLTY are going down, but there's always going to be some stocks that go up, even in a bear market. Now, in a bull market, hopefully ULTY is picking the stocks that are going up. But even in a bull market, there are some stocks that go down and some stocks that go up. So it's quite possible that you could lose money simultaneously in ULTY and SLTY, or you can make money simultaneously in ULTY and SLTY. Now, lately, ULTY has not been doing a great job of picking stocks that would go up. They've been chasing the high volatility, but obviously the holdings have been getting hammered and ULTY's price along with it. Now, I think it was an interesting choice this week to decide to pay 10 cents on ULTY, even though somebody had said that they had only earned 7.7 cents. Considering the price downturn, I was hoping that they would choose only to pay out what they had earned. Now, it has been a couple more days, so it's possible that they made up the difference with that 2.3 cents, so they could have earned the full 10 cents. If one of you knows, I know you can track their individual trades and add it up. Does somebody have a running tally of how much they've made in premium income each week? If they do, please post a link in the comments down below, because I do work and I make these videos and still have chores to do at the house and stuff, so I don't have time to go through every one of their trades every day. But I would really like to see a running total of the premiums that they've made. So if anybody knows of a place where you can track that so that I can compare it to the distributions that they are paying out each week, and then also share that with all of you, please post that down below, or message me on YouTube and get me that information so I can keep track of it. But I will be interested to see how many positions ULTY and SLTY have in common each week. I looked at ULTY and they had moved out of a couple positions and moved into some new ones. SLTY already has gone down about 30 cents by the time I saw it this morning. I didn't buy any shares of it. I will be buying SLTY, even if it's just 1 or 2 shares to begin with, so that I stay involved in it and watch it, because I want to see how it performs. I think it might be possible for SLTY to do a better job picking stocks than ULTY. Sometimes it is more obvious which stocks are going to go down than it is which stocks are going to go up. So, and a lot of times that increased volatility comes from stocks that are on their way down. And that's why there's that increased volatility. So it may be that SLTY has an easier time making money than ULTY, but that's yet to be seen. We'll have to see how the funds both operate. Right now, there is no yield quote on SLTY. We're going to have to wait a week or two and see what kind of income they're generating. If ULTY is able to generate 10 cents on a $6 share, then you would expect that on a $50 share, SLTY would be able to generate, somewhere around 80 or 90 cents a week. And if that's the case, then that's going to be some pretty good income, even though those shares are higher priced. So we can't just look at the share price and assume that we are getting a better deal with ULTY. What you have to look at is the overall yield and the total return, and that will tell you which fund is doing better. Right now, SLTY has no history, and we've seen in a lot of cases that yield max funds will drop initially. So I personally, you're going to make the bet, you got to do the vet, but I personally would wait to see where SLTY's price settles before you move a big chunk of money in. But I do think that it would be, even though it's not a true, 1-for-1 hedge, and they aren't exactly inverse funds, I do think it's possible that they will act a little bit as a hedge. And on a side note, that GDXY position that I added to seems to be one of my few green holdings today. So it is acting as just a little bit of a hedge. It's definitely not making up for my losses on ULTY. But it is green on days when ULTY is red in many cases. Not every case. 2 days ago, ULTY was red and so was GDXY. And that's when I added positions to GDXY. But the next 2 days, even though ULTY was red again, GDXY was green. So that has been a little tiny bit of a hedge, even though my position is about 7.5% in GDXY compared to my ULTY position. So it's not hedging exactly. All right, I'll talk to you DGens later. Let me know if you got any salty down below, and let me know if you think it's going to be a good hedge for ULTY.